Hello and welcome to one of the longest running television news series of this year. In a time when we are faced with so many challenges, we have dedicated here 70 hours, 70 episodes on prime time on this national newscaster to get you the voices of the people that are paramount to this country's future, the wealth creators of today and tomorrow. Joining us on this special episode in partnership with Business World in this Atmanirbhar special series, we have with us Kunal Sood. He's the founder of We the Planet and X-Fellows. Samyadeep Dey, founder of Tricycle. Kunal Singhal, managing director of Easy ERP. Kiran Dham, CEO of Globus Infocom. Vineet Shetty, co-founder of Plop Stories. And as always, the editor-in-chief of Business World, Anurag Batra, is with us. Anurag ji, if you could set this up for us once again.
Thank you so much, Rishabh. This is a young set of entrepreneurs, and all of them are doing well. We want to know from each one of you, how have you pivoted in your business? Let me start by asking Kunal, has sustainability become a bigger issue and a more sensitive issue than it used to be before COVID? And second, I would like to ask all the entrepreneurs, have they seen anyone around them benefiting from the package that has come from the government? Let me start with Kunal and let's go around the house. Kunal Sood?
Kunal Sood, okay. I was going to say there are two Kunals here, so thank you for having me. Sustainability is at the forefront of everyone's mind here and now, from startups to the biggest companies in the world. Whether it's in India or all over the globe right now, sustainability in all forms have become kind of like the mandate of the future. I feel like there's been a lot of pivot, of course, as you've seen, to the digital sphere. We've been forced to digitize, and forced to somehow democratize a lot of the services that we see here and now, and offer them to the public with a sense of altruism, not just profit-driven, but really how we're going to save the world and save each other and support each other here and now. So I feel like I'm very optimistic. I feel like in one sense, yes, coronavirus is deadly and has been horrific for the world, but it's also like a gentle wake-up call for the world to know that we all have to transform, from the inside out, meaning from ourselves as citizens of the world, as well as organizations. And I think sustainability is the mandate of the future, not just at the UN, which is where it's, titled the Sustainable Development Goals. But I think even as companies now, in fact, companies have more power in some ways than do governments in a real sense of iterating and rapid prototyping for the future. And I feel like that's going to be something that's really important for us here and now. And I feel like that is something I'm very excited about. Personally speaking, it's my life's work and journey. I'm very excited about India, especially. I really believe that here and now, alongside a friend of mine, Salim Ismail, who wrote the book Exponential Organizations, we want to start something called Exponential India, where we globalize India as a force for good in the world and model the nation. I'm very proud of what has happened in India. We have, for most part, done a fantastic job with coronavirus. Given the numbers and the ratios, we have more resistance and tolerance. We've been very diligent with tracking and making sure that companies as well as individuals from the bottom to the top of the pyramid are, looked after. And I think I'm just very proud of us as a nation.
Thank you, Kunal. We'll come back to you. Let me bring in Kiran Dham. Kiran, how has your own business pivoted? Have you seen other people around you, entrepreneurs, small business, medium business entrepreneurs benefiting from the stimulus that the government has given?
Hi, good evening all, and thank you so much for having me over. Okay, I'll respond to your answer. Yes, I strongly believe that, sustainability has been a very important mandate after the coronavirus, and even pre-coronavirus, I think any business, any enterprise has to be sustainable. That's the whole mantra behind, the functionality of any organization. This is what I personally believe. And coronavirus, though it has given us a thought of going within and self-introspection, being more empathetic towards one and all, that's the humility factor which has come up in each one of us, and because of that pandemic, I feel that as an organization, we were more concerned about everyone who is associated with Globus Infocom. First and foremost, we supported each one of our internal team members and the fraternity associated with us. And as far as the transformation which happened, one thing which happened was the generation shift or the paradigm shift in the minds of the consumers to embrace technology. That is the major sea change which has come up during this coronavirus. And we being the edtech providers, what we were, what the government has taken initiatives, what, actually was put on, communications were very aggressively done on this. But actually now we see that happening. Now the transformation is that the acceptance of technology, because everyone embraced technology beautifully during this coronavirus, whether it is the schools, the institutes. Now the learning has to be continuous. So this is what we felt, that our consumers were really after us, that they needed more aggressive trainings on the virtual platforms so that they could deliver knowledge impeccably to the students, transform the way the teachers teach, and the whole atmosphere has now transformed to not only to a teacher-led classroom, but now it is teacher and student. So it is engaging, it is interactive, it is more,
So that, Kiran, what I want to know from you is, have you seen entrepreneurs around you benefit from the economic stimulus?
Yes, we as an organization, benefiting would be, too soon to comment upon. But yes, the changes which the government has announced, like the changes in the procurement norms, like, promoting Make in India, making India Atmanirbhar Bharat, those are a very positive step towards making and creating the right ecosystem. This is what I strongly feel.
Thank you so much. Samriddhi, let me bring in your perspective. What has happened to your business in the last 6 months? And do you see the business and economic environment helping your business soon enough? I mean, do you see it changing, coming back to its full steam soon? Samriddhi.
Right. So the first thing is that, this change is obviously something that has made us to look at our own model differently. It has brought in introspection, and since we are working closely with other entrepreneurs, because we are in a service business, we are a branding company who which works with entrepreneurs, and we help in communicating their story. A lot of learning has come by the way of what they are going through and how our clients are going about bringing about changes in their model, in their perspective. So from there, keeping that in mind, yes, there has been change. Yes, we have our own share of struggle. We are contemplating newer ways in which we can be more effective. But in this entire scenario, one thing that is very important, and one thing that every one of us has probably realized, is that there has to be evolution. Nothing is constant, and you cannot say that this is a particular way of going about conducting your business. So that perspective, widening of perspective is something which has happened. We have also understood that there are going to be challenges, there are going to be different hardships that are going to come your way, and persistence is and patience is all these are the two attributes which are going to come in handy. And
resilience.
Yes.
Resilience. But
yes.
What I want to ask you, Samriddhi, have your clients started to spend? Have they gone off from the pause that they had imposed on
yes.
themselves? Do you
yes.
see them making enough spends on marketing, advertising in the next 3 months?
Right. So people are becoming more and more cautious. I think this is the time when people are wanting to prioritize only the kind of expenses which are going to be very, very important and critical. They are the ones who are kind of getting prioritized in this entire scenario. But people are also realizing that they have to move on. We cannot be holding ourselves back and wait for everything to kind of fall in place. You have to take your first step. So that has started to happen. People are coming back. people are wanting to go and engage, people are wanting to talk and communicate with their customers, and gradually I see that the momentum is starting to build. So in the next 3 months, I think slowly, one has to be hopeful, of course, but one feels that, in the next 3 months, people are going to slowly, the momentum is going to be visible.
Okay, let me bring in Kunal. Kunal Sehgal. Kunal, your opening comments. How has COVID impacted your own business, and how do you see the next 3 to 6 months?
Thanks, Anurag, for having me here. So, in my individual business, since we are a tech company and we deal with IT products, so on an individual note, we have progressed. We pivoted certain of our products during COVID, and I would say on a year-on-year basis, we are actually growing on a much faster scale, as much better than what we targeted earlier. Because the acceptance for certain things which we wanted to bring was not there, but COVID brought that acceptance in terms of bringing technology all the way down to the retail section, all the way down to the tertiary level consumer habits, which helped us grow our business. And even in the next 3 to 6 months, I'd see it growing because, yes, the clients were holding their technology spends because no one was sure where will the economy go, where will their individual businesses go. But I think now more or less everyone has made up their mind that they have to live with COVID. Whatever precautions have to be taken will be taken. If someone has to get sick, they have to get sick. You can't stop it. But things are coming back on track. So even from an SME manufacturing space, I think 90% of my clients are almost working on their full capacity, or let's say 75% capacity. Yes, there are certain specific clients, specific industries which have been hit, but most of them are back on track. And even from a larger distribution perspective that we handle, if I see the entire distributor network for all the clients we're handling, almost 80-85% of the distributors also back on track. So yes, from my business perspective, I see the things another 1 or 2 months by Diwali, everything should be back.
And will it be back temporarily because it's festive season, it's Diwali, IPL is happening, or do you see that uptrend continuing and hopefully in a couple of months we should be back to fully normal?
See, unless and until something very bad happens with COVID again, and there's a sudden massive rise which is unpredicted, I feel this growth trend will continue because whatever demand people were holding, let's say cars, for example, the car sales in the last month were phenomenal. They were just because for the last 4 months everyone held their held their buying for the cars, and when it happened, everyone bought cars. No one stopped buying cars, despite that no one is going on the track. So I see this progress will continue unless and until something very massively unpredictable happens.
Okay, let me bring in Vineet Shetty. Vineet, you heard all the other make their opening comments. What are your opening remarks, and where do you see the business and economy headed? And has your business done better in COVID, or you're still looking for a lift up in your business?
Sure. So thanks, Kunal, first of all, for bringing me here. We are in the consumer internet, consumer tech space. So for us, the COVID situation has been actually better. So just like Kunal mentioned, we have actually grown month on month, and because of this COVID situation, especially in the last 4 or 5 months. And we see that trajectory kind of going up, but definitely it will plateau at a certain level because right now, the issue that is there, the main issue is people were spending whatever they had saved earlier, and now those savings are kind of getting eroded. So unless the economy comes back and consumption increases, and due to consumption, that entire cycle kind of starts off where, people start spending, companies have more money, so employment comes back to the normal level. Unless that happens, overall, I think the entire scenario will be affected. We are better off because we are in the entertainment space, so people have more time. So kind of they on both sides, on the writer sides as well as the reader.
Understood that you're getting more content, but is the content also having a robust business model? Is it getting the monies? That's the question I want to know.
So we are primarily focused on a global market. So almost 50% of our usage is from the US. Only 10% of it is from India. So right from day one, we were focused on a very lean model where we monetize our content right from day one. So it's a subscription plan. It's not free. So from a revenue point of view, also we see the same kind of growth. So 4x growth in the last 2 months. So, from a revenue standpoint also, people are not, I mean, it's smaller payments, right? $10, $20 is not much for a US, person. So from that point of view, they're willing to spend. The only question is how long. I mean, if this keeps happening, and let's say, things don't return to normal for the next 1.5 years, then yes, they will start cutting down on these expenses. And of course, we can sustain at that level, but then the growth will kind of start going down.
Okay, Vineet. I also want to ask you, have you seen any entrepreneur around you benefiting from the economic stimulus that the government has given?
Not really. In terms of, if you should tell directly, then not really, because most of the stimulus, I think, is more for medium scale companies or medium scale enterprises to large scale enterprises. The companies which are at our stage primarily are looking to either pivot their businesses into a COVID friendly business, maybe have a service which kind of they can sell at this point of time and make revenues, or they are trying to see other sources of revenue, because even getting the stimulus package is a huge hassle, right? It's not just declaration, but the entire form filling, how easy it is to get these kind of stimulus into our bank accounts. So especially entrepreneurs at our stage, because 1 month, 2 months of no revenue kind of impacts the business in a huge way. We can't wait for the stimulus to come in and the money to come in. We have to figure out other sources of revenue. So people that I am in touch with, which are primarily very early stage to mid stage, someone below Series A, you can say. All of these companies are looking to pivot and or looking for ways to where they can monetize COVID in some way.
Thank you so much, Vineet. I want to go back to Kunal soon. Kunal, why should social impact be left to a clutch of companies? Every business should be about social impact. Every business should be using strategy for making sure that the SDGs are achieved. Do you see CEOs, promoters of large companies pivoting around sustainability, or do you see it as a topical discussion?
That's a tough question, because it depends on which circle you run in. If you're Davos and World Economic Forum, you've got a small group of them that are serious about actualizing the SDGs. But for most part, it's a great cocktail conversation, right? You talk about social impact, but it's like a selfie, You take that photograph with someone who's really powerful and you're like, we're changing the world. But the truth is, it's tough. And I think social impact actually, the greatest leaders of social impact are the ones that don't talk. They just act. They're in the background. They don't have that desire to be followed or...
I'm so much with you. I want to tell you, I've said this, that we at BW Business World hired a sustainability editor 5 years back. In November, we are bringing out the ranking of India's most sustainable companies in partnership with Sustain Labs Paris. So I understand what where you're going, and I totally agree with you. Mother Teresa was the world's first social impact entrepreneur without being called a social entrepreneur. Tatas have been using sustainability as a part of their DNA, so to say. They've built Jamshedpur. They've looked after communities. So I agree with you that we need to do more in the area of sustainability. Let me go to Kunal Singh. Kunal, the last 6 months have been about liquidity crisis. They're about demand crisis, and it's also a credit crisis, because right now you have receivables from companies, but you really don't know whether you'll get them or not get them, or when will you get them. So as a young entrepreneur, tell us, how do you see the next 3 to 6 months?
So very right. It was definitely a liquidity and a credit crisis, and I can very well compare the situation the way it happened during demonetization also. It was an immediate liquidity crunch, more because of uncertainty. No one knew what is going to happen, although there was no capital vanish, but still people were not sure. So they started hoarding their liquid assets. They started stopping as much payments as they could, so that they prepared for a worst case scenario. At the same time, there are cases where a client would not want to pay just to take the advantage of the situation. But given the scenario now, I would say it's more on a 50-50. although more clients are active on their working, but the payment scenario I would still say is a 50-50. Half of them are back to their normal payment terms or paying on time, but still there's a good half of the clients remaining who would say that yeah, they're still facing liquidity crunches. True or not, they would know the best answer, but yes, that situation is there, and I still think this will take further more time to improve. It will still follow on purposely or actually, but the situation will close the way in demonetization. It take almost more than a year and a half to get the liquidity back on track.
Thank you so much. I want to take the same question to Kiran. Kiran, as a small and medium business enterprise owner, tell us, how do you see the next 3 to 6 months?
Okay, we are a medium enterprise, and we have executed a lot of projects in the government segment. So thanks to the government and their new policies which they have formulated and announced, so we are not that badly affected by the liquidity crisis.
Good to know that.
Yeah, and we are quite encouraged, and we feel that next 3 to 6 months, we feel as an organization and the industry which we work in are quite promising. So the edtech sector is going to be
if I can just interject there, Kiran, can you, for our viewers watching, can you tell us about what you guys do in Globus Infocom?
Yeah, I'll just brief you what we do. We are a edtech solution provider, and we execute projects in state government, central government, in higher ed universities, schools, colleges, and we've been there in the industry for the past 19 years. And the only thing which we have been able to sustain is because we are a reliable and trusted Make in India brand and having our own sales and service network pan India. Okay. We believe in innovation, so we give a lot of innovations. We come up with new innovations, meaningful solutions, and yes, affordable solutions for the Indian users. We just don't believe that we have to promote our solutions only to the upper level of the society, but yes, we strongly believe that education has to be accessible in the rural areas as well.
Okay, so are these practical solutions, logistical solutions? Are they tech solutions? What are these solutions?
Yeah, so we design and develop first and foremost digital language labs. We have our own virtual classroom solutions. So these all solutions, they transform the classroom environment, and we have done a lot of projects with the state government. Like in Haryana, we have done, in Arohi schools, we have installed our digital language labs, and we strongly focus and we strongly believe that we have to promote and develop language as a skill.
Okay, I just got a briefing, a couple of days ago indicating that, government spending, this year is up 16%. It doesn't make up for, of course, the other areas where spending has not been happening. But are you seeing a roughly stable set of approaches from government for projects? Is it increasing? Has it declined? Was there a sharp drop and a recovery? What did you see?
No, I would like to appreciate the government on this. But yes, one thing which I would like to communicate here is that whatever announcements have been made, now we as an organization strongly feel that the government should strictly and implement them timely. That's the whole thing. Then only we'll be able to, achieve what we are
quick rapid fire couple of questions before I open the rest. The conversation we were having with Anurag, let's say three months ago, was that will the various governments come out and pay their bills on time? Can they at least churn the money out? Is that happening? Are you getting your receivables from official agencies roughly on time?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a good sign. Let me quickly.
Rishabh,
yeah.
I again want to say that on our show, at least there have been about 10 entrepreneurs who directly benefited from the economic stimulus in terms of either the bank loan they got or they got something else as part of the SME scheme, which helped them kind of get monies that.
No, and as we've highlighted, Dr. Batra, also we haven't seen social upheaval, which means that intervention strategies, including provision of food grains, etc., everything has not been wrong. There are a lot of problems, and nobody can write off 24% GDP drop, but this is what lockdown happens. Economic activity is about people doing things. When people are not doing things, that's the country shut for 3 to 4 months. Samedeep, just for viewers watching, can you tell us a bit about Tricycle? What do you guys do?
Right. So Tricycle is a branding company. We are a branding company for the new age enterprise, and so we actually work with a lot of entrepreneurs and first-gen entrepreneurs and new companies because we engage with them and we help them in telling their stories well. And during this crisis, my observation has been that a lot of people have taken this time and gone about relooking at their own businesses, coming out better, repositioning their brands,
Okay,
telling
so
their
have the
stories
number
well.
of phone calls or outreaches to you, has your customer acquisition become easier because more people are actually hunting you out versus you trying to convince them that they need to do more digital communication, etc.?
So as far as the hunting is concerned, or they reaching out is concerned, slowly the momentum is coming in.
Okay.
Initially, there was a drop because everyone was probably very, very cautious and they wanted to know where this entire thing is going. But of late, one is seeing that there is a good enough momentum building there.
Okay, momentum. I mean, you would say the momentum is back 30%, 40%, 50%, 80%.
I would say that it's between 40 and 50.
Okay, so it's halfway back. It's halfway back.
Yeah,
Okay,
halfway back,
Kunal
yeah.
Singhal, help us work out. Can you, for again viewers watching, Easy ERP, how do you guys pronounce it? What do you guys do?
So it's easy ERP, and as the name states, we are into ERP solutions for SME manufacturers. And again, as a practical solution, we give ERP which is meant to handle production and inventory, integrated with Tally, which is the most used accounting software in India. So it helps the manufacturer ease their work. In the second segment, we handle distribution management for very large FMCG and FMCD companies and help them track their entire distribution network across India.
Okay. How much is it tech enabled? I remember my dad's a CA, so I remember when Tally came, it was a huge deal 20 years ago. How much of this is now tech enabled, or all of it is tech enabled?
All of it is tech enabled. For us, it is all about technology.
Okay, what kind of, I mean, just roughly, without becoming client specific, what efficiency gains can somebody see by getting logistics tech enabled, through you guys or through elsewhere?
So from distribution, since we're working with a lot of brands, so I can very easily say that the visibility of their data across India, that itself improves their decision making in terms of what to supply, where, what to stock, what not to stock, what is selling, what is not selling. That in itself improves their sales efficiency to a great extent.
Okay, where in a year where it's all been about efficiency, okay, where people are realizing the value of efficiencies. And in fact, big companies are doing very well right now because they have inherent efficiencies, which gives them an advantage. Are you seeing people running to your door, or are you still having to go out and pitch to clients that this can be effective to them?
No, so for us it is going the other way. We are actually getting a lot of inquiries, and not just inquiries, closures, where clients actually want this to be done. Because for now, since the manpower is sitting home and it's more about actually getting data digitally and automatically, the automation is playing a very big role.
Okay,
so yes,
how much is, how many decision making aspects about stock keeping, about, just in time, etc., are algorithms doing now?
So let me put it this way, the dependence on the data is growing exponentially. I can't put it a percentage, but yes, everyone, since the other perspective to it, since due to COVID, they had time, they were doing less of manufacturing, they had more time to work on processes. Again, thinking about ERP and getting automation has become a very
okay. How do you guys tackle data challenges of keeping them servered here in India? How do you guys tackle these challenges become conversation topics?
So it becomes all about tracking their data so let's say if I were to track the entire sales data, I can even track it on the map of India, that which state, which district, which zone is selling more, which is not selling more.
Excellent.
Which are the areas being covered, not covered, and that visually gives me a very good representation of seeing that what do I need to focus and what not.
Okay, stay with me. Kunal Sood, tell us a bit about X Fellows.
Oh boy, okay. X Fellows is a company that's in stealth right now, but I could talk probably more about We the Planet.
Please go ahead.
Which is the company we've launched. We the Planet was launched in a response to everything that's happening in the world here and now. It started out at the UNGA in New York City as part of the United Nations General Assembly. And what we do is we try to unite the elder and the youth to make the impossible possible. And it's like, if you want to call it a combination of TED meets the UN. And the goal here is really to unite parts of the world that usually don't talk to each other. So I feel like here and now, for example, in India, if we could unite Modi with a group of people that can't stand Modi, to have a conversation, that's a great starter.
If you can do the Modi and Rahul debate together, please, I would love to be. I would love to watch.
I think that, you see, this is, in my humble opinion, here and now is the only chance we have at uniting without fear or favor. And that has to happen, because if we don't, we're just going to go into the new normal as the old ways we used to practice in our past. So I think in order for us to really embrace the new normal, we have to come together. And that's what We the Planet's all about. We, the planet, going above and beyond ourselves, our own interest, and serving something that's higher than ourselves, something that our country, as Touchwood, really taught us to do in a secular sense. No matter where you
so
are,
let me ask you a practical question, because before this is not superpowers, it's not X-Men. In a practical question, when you say people who are not talking to each other, which is an important problem, as we now know that we are all in our echo chambers, all of us, most of us watching us, we only watch, subscribe to, get recommended therefore by search engines and algorithms, stuff that is part of our echo chamber. How do you then bridge that?
So I would actually refute that we're not superpowers and X-Men. I would say that most ultra high net worth people think they're superpowers, superhuman, and they have the X-Men qualities of some kind of gift. I do believe that technology is an extraordinary variant which will allow us to do that. Especially exponential technologies, and like Kunal Singhal, even Anurag, what he's doing with media. I feel like media is going to be a very powerful vector for what you're speaking to, and how can we channel positive media and the ways in which we can use media to try to change the narrative. Right now, you put on CNN, you put on the media, all you hear is negativity. On every side, there's just negative bias.
That's Fox. That's
Fox too. Fox too, or both, right? Right now, you just put on anything and it's negativity bombarded. That's why I enjoy Business World, because it talks about progress and innovation. So I feel at the heart of everything here and now, it's very important that we focus on innovation and really unlocking each person's exponential
Well, if you were
potential.
watching the TV media here, you'd think marijuana is the biggest problem in the country right now. Vineet Shetty, quickly tell us about Plop Stories.
Sure. So we are a platform, mobile-first platform, where on one side we have writers who want to kind of write any fiction content. They come onto our platform and put up their content, and on the other side we have readers. The way we are changing the entire fiction storytelling space is by making this entire content very interesting. So we have audiovisual elements built into the content itself. So for example, let's say it's a kidnapping scene within the story, and let's say the kidnapper is asking you for a ransom. So instead of writing that entire thing that the kidnapper called you, he asked for a 1 lakh ransom, you actually get a phone call from the kidnapper, and the screen turns into a call simulated.
Okay, immersive fiction. Sounds fascinating.
Absolutely.
Okay, how does this work as a business model? Does somebody subscribe to you? Is it a birthday gift for someone? How do you guys monetize this?
Sure. So we have so our primary audience is the US. So almost 50% of our usage comes from the US. Only 10% comes from India. It's a subscription-based model. So primarily, someone subscribes for a month. Right now, it's priced at $5 a month. Somebody subscribes for the content. Once they subscribe, they can view all content from our platform.
Okay, how's it looking? Have the few months been exciting? Because as you mentioned, people have been at home. So are they trying you out a lot more?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, so we have grown both in terms of revenue as well as in terms of usage, almost 400% since the beginning of, in the last 2-3 months. Also, from a writer point of view also, I mean, when we started off just before the COVID situation, like we had 150 pieces of content on our platform. Today, we have close to 1,000. So you see that tremendous growth in terms of people also coming out on the platform and putting up their content.
Okay, I'll get subscribed. So the next Zoom call I do with Anurag Batra, somebody calls in with a ransom call, it'll be exciting. Vineet Shetty, just very, very quickly, in terms of seeing this as business opportunities, what is novelty value and what is going to be something how we'll be doing things in the future? Do you see this as an aspirational thing, that this is going to change how books are written or perceived, or is it going to be novelty value?
Absolutely. So I think this is the future of storytelling, because I mean, if you read the stats, you will primarily see that book reading has increased. If you get your normal stats, But then primarily this is the non-fiction books. So non-fiction books is kind of increasing year on year. Fiction reading is actually decreasing year on year.
Interesting.
So we want to make this more interesting. So even your normal books, which you get in the paperback format, we want to include, let's say, background scores, or let's say small features like vibration. Like for example, let's say you're reading Harry Potter, and when he goes into a dungeon, you hear that eerie music. Or,
okay, so I'm reading Harry Potter on a tablet, and as I'm flipping pages, depending on the page, you are setting the mood for me.
The sound changes.
Okay,
yeah,
you're setting the mood for
and
me.
And let's say
okay.
cast a spell, your phone will slightly vibrate. So we are using phone features to kind of enhance the reading.
We've been in an engaging conversation with a group of fascinating people involved in all sorts of entrepreneurship, capital, social, and disruptive included. Dr. Anurag Batra, Parliament is on, sir. A lot of the reforms that were being already announced are going to go through it. We're not expecting any surprises on that end. But what more remains to be done that we can push through that needs to go through a formal parliamentary process?
See, Rishabh, it's a great time to reimagine, to reinvent, to pivot, to orbit change. When I talk it from a country standpoint, from a governance standpoint, I think the government needs to do these 5 things. First, it has to, even if when COVID goes away, hopefully in the next 1 month, 2 months, hopefully not longer, we find a vaccine. The government has to be in a mode of, making sure it implements what it announced 4.5 months back. Second, looking at other areas where our competitiveness can be better, whether it is land reforms again, whether it's bringing down the cost of control, whether it's looking at doing away with archaic labor laws. Third, I think in a lot of industries, we can be, if you look at the KV Kamath report, it looks at 26 industries which can really drive India's growth. So maybe doing sectoral reforms. Fourth is, I think this SME definition needs to change, and people who are eligible for government help need to be lesser than 250 crores. And last but not the least, like in iron ore mining, the government announced reforms. I think in a lot of sectors, the government should announce reforms, increase the FDIs. I mean, insurance still, we can do it 100%. Media, maybe 100%. It's time to do that. It's time to kind of open up India in a different way, and we can compete.
Okay.
And Indian entrepreneurs will be needed by whoever partners with them, invests with them, to be able to navigate this unique country called India.
Okay, it's how exciting do we create that excitement zone? Kunal Singhal, what is the excitement zone to be created? We were having this conversation 6 months ago. The economy required work last year also, right? But here's an opportunity to create a pivotal 91-like moment that creates a momentum of its own. What do we do to get that done?
So I think we've more or less announced whatever needs to be done. As Anuragji said, it needs to be executed. The way, let's say, an anti-China reform is going on right now, actions are being taken, companies have decided to come to India, but then when they come to India, they should get the right infrastructure to execute. If all the 3 manufacturers for Apple have decided to come to India, when they come to India, they should not feel the way earlier we have had incidents where large MNCs or large FDIs have tried coming to India, but then reverted back just because they could not get the right ground to operate properly without the red tapeism, without the clearance issues and everything. So I think the reforms have been announced, they need to be executed nicely.
Okay, the companies you interact with, just give me, and it need not be anecdotal, can just be a perception. The companies you interact with, are they finding it easier to work? With the new GST system, there have been issues, but the larger concept of it is in the right direction. We've been talking about ease of doing business even before this lockdown happened. Is it becoming easier to work, to do business?
On an overall level, there could be different perceptions, but if you talk GST in particular, in a blanket statement, I can say yes.
Okay.
It has brought simplicity, it has brought clarity. If someone doesn't want to comply with the system, it's altogether a different issue.
But okay, Vineet, the environment that you come, and I'm sure you have friends, who are doing all their own creative things. To quickly get a company off the ground, okay, because ideas have to be tested. Some will be work. You've been mentioning that people are trying to pivot into different ideas. in an adaptative process, are they getting the ability to become adaptative, to literally within, few days transform your business without having to go through rigmaroles?
So I mean, it's the entrepreneurial spirit, right? I mean, you find a problem, and COVID is a very large problem, and if you find a solution, any solution.
No, but practical solution. A few years ago, just opening a bank account was a painful process. You need some proof of residence for these many months, which had to be an MTNL line and this and that. Has all of that gone away?
Yeah. So that still is an issue primarily because of the lockdown. Because I mean, you can't go to a bank to and getting documentation, for example, getting Xerox copies. One of my NACH forms is still remaining, because of which I can't open up a credit card, the credit line. So I mean, these practical problems are still there, but it's a problem which everyone is facing.
On account, have they become easier in the past couple of years? Have they remained the same, or have they become worse?
Okay, so in the past couple of years, yes, it has become easier. In the current, last 2-3 months, it has become very difficult, especially because of the current COVID situation.
Okay, so what's your one or two point wish list that would really help you solve these problems? Because a lot of the reforms, quote unquote, or the stimulus package included trying to take away which filing date, when filing date, compliance requirements. Has that helped you?
So compliance, in all, I think that's a big problem that needs to be sorted, especially for us. For example, for a company which is primarily, let's say, driving revenues from the US, compliance is a huge issue. Because let's say in our case, what happens is somebody pays me $5, I then have to give somebody in Nigeria like $5, right? And then giving money to someone in Nigeria is a huge hassle, or any other country from India.
Okay.
There's GST implication. There is, TDS implications. Just getting money there, you need 3 forms to be submitted for a $5.
I think Anurag Batra, he's a clear example of the Gujarat city model that we were discussing, of why that's required in India. Before I come to you, just quickly, Kiran Dham, reality check. We have the opportunity of a sitting parliament. In a wish list, what would yours be? What would you like to see done to get some buzz and momentum going?
Okay. As far as our industry is concerned, the most important thing which we are looking at is that government should now go in and provide us an indigenized ecosystem.
Explain.
They have announced Make in India. They have announced becoming self-reliant. But now is the time we all as a community have to act upon. We as the providers, and government should provide us that ecosystem, make industry specific clusters. Then only it would be realistic. One more thing which I would like to say.
Just explain ecosystem, please. Ecosystem means if you want to, let's say, make a particular.
We are we are a technological solution provider company. So we have a lot of products which need a lot of components.
Yes.
So obviously we source those components from Taiwan, Korea, and some parts from China also. So they have to provide us with that indigenized ecosystem for us to be actually going in for 100%.
Can I raise my hand up for a silicon fabricator in this country? I'm raising my hand up once again, which is fundamentally important. Okay, Kunal Sood, what is the opportunity? Crises give us opportunities to reset ourselves for a future. At an environment which you are focusing on, which is, mobilizing networks for a larger good, a social good, realizing that that's as much of a GDP indicator as a profit capitalist motive. What's the opportunity provided here?
I mean, it really depends on what your mindset is, right? So if your mindset's steeped on making profit, then you're on one side. But I feel like the people that will make long-term gains are the ones who are really focused on profit with purpose, or purpose-driven leadership. So how do you make ESG impact investing and focusing on saving the environment? If coronavirus not taught us anything, it's that the world is giving us just a small message that you're in trouble right now and you need to fix this now. Climate change is not something that's going to come to us in a decade from now. I don't even know what the timeline is. I mean, all these things we're seeing now, it's like a sci-fi movie, right? Coronavirus, you look at how the West Coast in the United States is burning. It's got worse air conditions in Delhi, which was the worst in the world. So if you ask me personally, the biggest opportunity here and now is to embrace your own massive transformative purpose and put that massive transformative purpose into action in
No,
your
so what would you like to see?
organization and
Give
with the
me, give me a couple of examples. You know, we were talking about a couple of years ago, 2030 massive electric car policy here. We've been pushing hard on solar, and I've got to give this government credit that they are genuinely pushing hard on solar, which has both economic and practical climate interest for us. Are there other examples that we should be looking at?
The other examples I would say are the unsung heroes in the room. Like, for example, you said something like marijuana is the biggest problem in the country right now.
If you watch TV news, yes.
You watch certain news channels.
Right. If you flip that,
not if you watch NewsX, I promise you. We're discussing the economy. Yes.
Fair enough. But if you flip that, it's a massive economic opportunity as well. CBD and those industries have actually helped in a clinical setting, helped lots of suffering patients in cancer as well as other chronic diseases ail their suffering. So I'm just saying that, there is this opportunity that we can captivate around EdTech. I'm very passionate about education technology. I think Kiran's at the forefront of something that could transform our nation, to really get everyone educated. If you ask me right now, media, education, technology, and innovation, these are the pillars that can stand up on their own. And I feel like the wealth is on the ground, not just in the parliament,
True.
or in the highest top unicorn companies. I feel like there's this real extraordinary opportunity here and now for us to look for those.
Before I hand over to Anurag, because we're running short of time, Samyadeep, in leadership sense, in practical leadership sense, which is what the current government prides itself in, what are the practical steps that you'd like to see happen over the next couple of weeks in Parliament, just to get a mindset momentum game going?
Right. So the first thing that I would like to kind of see, or I would like to have some clarity, is the whole idea about proposing something. The self-reliant story is something that we are all excited about. But when it comes to implementation, what are going to be the next practical steps that are going to be taken for this to kind of actually hit the ground? Now that is something that.
No, can you explain that? Would you like to say the government saying, okay, we have put out these many hectares, 1,000 hectares of parcel of land which are the plug and play. Okay, we are setting up that silicon prefab in partnership with so and so, which are the strategic areas where we found ourselves to be lacking. Would you like that kind of list to be put out?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And more importantly, it's very important for the ecosystem. I think we just got to know about that thing in a discussion as well, that we all believe that the ecosystem should be strengthened. The players should come together. If there is a way in which new companies, startups, they are brought together where they are not they're interacting.
Okay, I think
more,
it's very interesting, because I can tell you that the ecosystem approach is being embraced by government. Space is a great example right now, where from training to startup incubation, to getting ISRO to free up its patent technologies. The government is working to create that ecosystem. Defense is the other ecosystem, but you're bang on. We are short on time. I want to hand back to Anurag ji for his closing rapid fire.
Thank you so much, Rishabh. Let me start by asking you all two questions, and I want very short answers. The first question: when do you see the Indian economy coming back? In 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months and more? Second, what is that one thing that you've learned in the last 6 months that will hold you in good state in life and in your businesses? Let me start with Kunal Singhal and go around the house. Kunal?
Thanks. So the one thing that I've learned over the last 4 months, and kind of has been my principle earlier also, that it always has to be innovate or evaporate. If you don't change with the times will change you, and it has proven once again. Second, in terms of the economy growing, I personally feel, and I'm again being optimistic here, that this financial year alone, we would be back on track, and I'm very hopeful that on an overall level, we will not be negative as compared to the previous financial year.
That's the most optimistic outlook. We're saying less than 6 months and will not be negative. Thank you, Kunal. I hope that comes true. Vinit Shetty, when will the economy be back in full bloom? 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months?
So I have a more pessimistic view. I think it will be 12 to 18 months it will take, because the vaccine has to come in, it has to go, the distribution has to be there, and then the reforms will kind of set in. That's my estimation, 12 to 18 months.
Okay, and what is that one thing you learned
So
in
I
the
think
pandemic that will help you in your business?
sure. So
Like-
we were very focused on sustainable growth, which means
Costs have to be lower than revenue.
correct.
It sounds very basic, didn't happen
But
last
then,
year.
absolutely.
But
So this kind of helps us in the current situation because we are not running out of money.
Kiran Dham, economy, when do you see it fully back?
I am being slightly optimistic, so I would say 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
And the
Kiran, what
mantra,
is the one thing you
mantra
learned?
which has always been there with us at Globus is innovation and upscaling, because we are in the technological field and we strongly believe that we have to innovate continuously and we have to upscale ourselves.
Soumyadeep,
Yes, so my estimation is 12 months. I would say that is, it will be 12 months, by the time we think that we have come back. At least, that is what, I feel. And the one thing that, I have learned is, to be persistent. Because with the changing times, there are many situations where you don't have control, but then you've got to carry on with your game. And it's an interesting time to be creative, to think differently about the things that you have been doing. So these are the two learnings that I would probably take and carry forward.
final word, Kunal Sood. We started with you, we're ending with you. When will the economy be back? And what is that one thing that you've learned in the pandemic that will help you throughout your life and in your work area?
So I feel 18 months is the right answer for true recovery. And we should look at this as a long game, not a short-term game where we're going to, a shot in the arm and when we're going to get back. I think we need to really look at the fact that we don't have a resource problem. We have a leadership problem. So to embrace that leadership problem and create, not just exponential technologies, but exponential leaders that can lead us into a more sustainable future with massive impact. And that's what I believe here and now is we need to unite, we need to come together, we need to innovate, think differently, think bravely, collaborate. And really, this is what we've done in our industry because we had a massive hit. There are no summits happening for the next year, at least, right? If you're a responsible citizen. So we had to come together, the founders of TEDx, myself, and we really had to think differently and really unite in action without fear or favor. So that's what I feel has to happen with government, with organizations, with us as citizens in the world. Go from being global citizens to extraordinary citizens. And I feel like India truly has a once in a lifetime opportunity to become a global superforce for the future. And that's my humble opinion.
That you didn't know before pandemic?
I've learned that human beings are much more generous and altruistic than we give them credit for. I do believe that we have a lot of moral courage and strength around numbers. We're stronger together. So if we unite, I feel that's what I've learned. That when we're together, we can rise. When we're, separated, we run from the virus.
Okay. All the best to all of you. Back to you, Rishabh.
Okay, yeah, I think we need to all hear a TEDx of Kunal Sood. I've learned extraordinary leaders. I've learned some new terminologies we can use. Thanks very much for
exponential leaders.
Exponential leaders. Okay, I'm going to learn all of these things. Thanks very much, Kunal. Check out We the Planet. I'm sure you can Google it and find it. Check out Tricycle, Easy ERP. If you're looking for tech solutions to logistic management, Globus Infocom for Edu Solutions, and of course Plop Stories if you want somebody to give you a hostage call. We leave it there. Thank you all for joining us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.